You are listening to the Showbiz Side Hustle podcast, powered by PerformerPreneur. I am your host here, Nicole Louise Geddes, and together we'll be delving into all of the ways that a showbiz side hustle can support you now and long into the future. So sit back, relax, and listen in, and together let's get inspired to take action to create the life, future and business of your dream. Welcome to today's podcast, the Showbiz Side Hustle podcast, powered by PerformerPreneur, and this month sponsored by Danny from DD Practical Leathercraft. She makes traditional handcrafted heritage leather with a unique twist. Practical leather at practical prices, as seen on BBC's Make It at Market. Find her at www.ddpractical.co.uk. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Showbiz Side Hustle podcast. And today I'm bringing in my very first expert to talk to us about why. So if you've listened to my previous episodes or you've read my book, you'll know that I really do believe understanding and connecting to your why is a really foundational and fundamental part of building a business. And so I brought in Cheryl, who is the founder of Pink Pig Financials, to talk about her why, which you might initially, from that business title, think that we're going to talk about money, which, Cheryl, I will let you know, is the main why for most of my performerpreneurs when they do start to talk to me and work with me. But actually, what I want to showcase to everybody is the deeper level of why. So we're going to talk about both of these things with you, because obviously founding a financial advisory service and business, but also I know your story and there's a lot more to that why than just money. So I'm really excited to get started. Please do open up by giving us a little bit more detail about who you are and what you are and that business that we just spoke about before we lead into the deeper and more emotive why.
Yeah, of course. So hi everyone, I'm Cheryl. I am the CEO and founder of Pink Pig Financials. I set up my business in 2014 after leaving an abusive marriage. I was on my own at the time with two small boys, and I'd only really ever known accounts and admin work, and I was studying to become a chartered accountant at the time, and it just was the natural step for me to do. And I'll talk a little bit more about why and everything as we go through the podcast.
Perfect. So you've already alluded to that kind of traumatic, for want of a better word, moment in your life that led you to this new business, to this new chapter in your life. So did you instantly, put the two pieces together when that broke down and you were ready to evolve and grow? Did you know that was going to be the reason for this?
No, not at all. I knew I'd done my accountancy my first part of the accountancy training, and I was doing his accounts in his business, and it was something that I enjoyed doing. And then when the marriage broke up, I went into practice with a friend and was working in his practice in London, and absolutely really enjoyed working with loads of different people and understanding more, and then taking my studies further as well. So I knew before I set up the business I wanted to go further with my studies and become chartered and everything like that, but I didn't connect all the dots for quite a while, actually.
And that's what I say to the performerpreneurs that come to me and we're speaking about the why they want to set up a side hustle. As you can imagine, in our industry, we equally feel quite trapped in this profession that is telling us that we can only perform, we can only act, we can only sing, we can only dance. And that's amazing while it's all still possible. But when you start to have a desire to do more or be more, you do feel like actually you can't succeed in any other sort of realm because of that brainwashing of how we have positioned ourselves as just simply performers. So this is why I brought you on, because although it's, extremely different circumstances, there's that synergy there of that understanding yourself and pushing through fear and discovering what that deep connection to your why is to make this really scary jump and transition possible. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think there's so much conditioning around, and you feel that your life is going in one way and that is the only way your life can go. And then it's trying to retrain yourself in your brain to think, well, actually, I can do more than that. I can do this, or I can do that. There are other opportunities. This isn't just the only way I've got to go. And I think I've definitely noticed that as well, because I thought, even on the accountant train, I was like, right, I'm an accountant, I just do accounts. But there's so much more that I do, and I actually prefer all the other stuff now, and I don't enjoy the account side.
Well, and you know, so many of us are saying once we start that side hustle, it's exactly the same sentiment. Like, actually, you know, I'm so glad I started, because it's given me the flexibility and the independence to do and become the next version of me, and I'm really enjoying that. I certainly feel it here in PerformerPreneur, over and above the producing of entertainment side. So yeah, we completely get it. So the accountancy was a stepping stone, so to speak, and it has opened doors to you, and it was your why to provide for your two boys.
Yeah, I mean, like many of your listeners, my initial focus was money related. I needed to provide for my boys. I needed the flexibility around them because I had no childcare. They would go to their dad, but it wasn't, I couldn't rely on it, because he was very, so that was one of the ways he would still continue to be the way he was. And so I needed to be able to rely on me and just me. So I needed the money, I needed the flexibility, I needed to be there for the boys, but I also wanted to work. I didn't want to be somebody that just relied on like tax credits and things. I wanted to provide for myself, because that's what I'd always done. And I just wanted to get out there. And I knew that there was loads of other mums in situations, not necessarily the same as mine, not even necessarily broken up, but there was mums that wanted to work around their children. So that initially was like, well, if I can do it, other mums can do it. And that was what was driving me at the beginning. It's like, well, if I can do their accounts and take that hassle away, because I know for a lot of people, money and accounts and things is not their cup of tea, but I can do it. So if I can do that to help them, then they can work more flexibly around their children. So that initially was my driving force, my why, what I wanted to do and why I was doing it. Yeah, it took me a long time before I actually dug a lot deeper and realised exactly what it was all about.
And we'll get to that in a second. I just want to compare yourself and myself in terms of that, wanting to support, empower, and give people the answers a lot quicker than we probably got them. You know, me as a performer turned entrepreneur, you building your own business and supporting your family and helping those mums, like you say. And don't you always find, I know we're going off on a slight tangent, but our ideal clients are actually a version of ourselves. And I spout that all the time. Just look a little bit deeper. You will want to give yourself, your past self maybe, or your future self, the answers or the tools. And so that is always a great place to start a business as well. And then let's move on then to that understanding that, yes, this was serving a purpose, and yes, it fulfilled one of the whys, but how did you go deeper? Because what I'd love my listeners to understand is it will only get you so far. Like you've said, you've fallen out of love with accountancy to a degree. And I'm the same, very grateful for Manic Stage Productions and producing entertainment. And gosh, I had such longevity with it. But what happens if you don't keep exploring and understanding? You will once again find yourself trapped in a new situation. So we have to evolve. So how did you go about that process, or did it just light bulb one day? Talk us through the next step.
Yeah, so in 2020, smack bang in the middle of COVID, I had an incident with my ex, and it kind of drove me to finally ask for some help in the respect of counselling, which really helped to get to know me and build up a little bit of my confidence, but mostly with a business coach who's also business and mindset. And it was working with her that really helped me to build up my self-esteem, build up my self-confidence, and really explore what I was doing, why I was doing it, and even look at bigger, grander plans that I hadn't actually voiced to anybody. So there's a couple of things that I would absolutely love to do to help people that would have been in my situation, or are in my situation I was in 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. And when I voiced that to her, she's like, well, what can we do to get you there? What baby steps can we do? So my first baby step was feeling confident enough to share my story. And as I was sharing my story, I did have a little bit of a light bulb in that moment. And it was just like, well, I felt trapped in the situation I was in, and I couldn't get out of it partly because I didn't have money and I couldn't provide for myself. And a lot of other people in my sort of situation also feel trapped for that reason. And then when I looked around and started looking into other people and talking to them, there was various different reasons. Like you said, you feel trapped for very many different reasons. Could be financially, but it could be time or mind freedom. Whatever it is, a lot of people feel trapped. And I don't want anyone to ever feel trapped. And although I was kind of already on those lines, I never was able to articulate it in that way. But that is my why. I don't want anyone to feel trapped like I did. And if I can help them be untrapped, become free, then that's kind of my purpose in life. And I was doing that with the accountancy. And then I wanted to take that one step forward and help and mentor women like myself who have been through the sorts of things I've been through, to be able to help them to progress and start their next chapter. And that's, although I'm still running the accountancy, I knew that wasn't even a long-term thing. So I've got a team in place and they're pretty much running the show, me just managing it now, which is what I enjoy doing. And I'm also able to now mentor other women and help them to start their next chapter. So it's taken a long time for me to get to that point and really understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. But when it did, it was just like, wow. Amazing.
And you mentioned the word purpose, and that's what we're all here for, right? We want to create a legacy. We want to have purpose. Otherwise, the day-to-day kind of year-to-year, it's not fulfilling. And as performers, we felt so fulfilled with that spotlight and that stage. We do need to fill that void. And it's interesting listening to you, and my listeners might wonder why I've brought somebody that's so far removed from the performing industry, but it's because I want to open up everybody's eyes to the fact that you can achieve, we can achieve, they can achieve. Like, it's not exclusive to any type of person, to any gender. It's just not exclusive. If you have a why and you can really take, and you said baby steps, can take baby steps, you will get to where you want to be. But if you don't start, I'm so passionate about this because I'm like, if you just don't start exploring it, if you don't think about it, if you don't start doing it, you're never going to get to that place. And the other interesting thing that you mentioned was a mentor. You are now a mentor. I'm now a mentor. And we had mentors. We have mentors. And I think as well, people believe that that's not the done thing, when actually the successful people around you, if you dig a little bit deeper, they are all seeking support. And nobody necessarily in the past decade used to shout about that, but I know we are all doing now. Your mentor has a mentor, and you will need one. You don't need one, but you will progress quicker if you have somebody supporting you for whatever reason. You'd said kind of that mindset stuff. My clients are because they really don't quite understand the business bit. We've never been taught it. So find the right person for you. Have you got anything to add? I mean, I could talk all day. It just excites me so much. And I think the bit that I want my listeners to understand is it's not exclusive to you, to me, to anybody. Your background and your situation, those terrible times have still led you to flourish and thrive. And so, I want people to understand that it's absolutely possible.
Oh, it is. It's totally possible. And I think for years, I didn't think it was possible. And it's not until you have the right people around you that you can start to heal, move forward, become the person you're meant to be. I'm a true believer that everything happens for a reason. And it's taken me quite a long time to understand what the reasoning is of what's happened. And part of me being able to understand that is to have the mentor, have the counselor. I don't have the counselor anymore, but I keep my coach. She is just like non-negotiable for me. But it's because of having that person on your side, that cheerleader for you, that support, that person that you trust and have a relationship with, and they just keep you going and help you to dig deeper. They don't give you the answers necessarily, but they help you to find the answers. I mean, sometimes she does give me the answers, but quite often she's helping me to work through to find out the answers. And I think that is it's so invaluable. You can't be without it. All the top sports people have coaches. All the top footballers, runners, equestrian people in my world, but everybody has, anyone who you see at the top of their game will have had or has a coach in some respect, or a mentor. And I think one of the biggest things that I found is I thought I had to have a coach in a certain area. Mm-hmm. And I kept trying all these coaches in a certain area and it just wasn't fitting. It didn't work. So sometimes I think you need to look necessarily, so like for yours, they probably were looking at people that are right around them and finding yourself who's been in the situation and moving on from that situation is the right person for them, because you've been there, done that, and are doing what they want to do. So it's always trying to find that person who's a few steps ahead of you.
Yes, and that's not a gatekeeper. There's a lot of people out there that hold the information, but like you with your clients now, mentoring them to give them that freedom. I think the best mentors, the best communities, the best advice comes from somebody truly understanding, the best businesses truly understanding, and we're going full circle, understanding their why.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I struggled so much looking at the people I was looking at, because I wasn't looking at the right why, and I wasn't looking for the right connection of the support that I needed. And I think that's the other thing, that people need to try different things to see what works for them, because what works for everybody else may not work for them. And I was just like, well, why am I not doing what they're doing? Why does that not work for me? It's working for you, kind of thing. It's because it wasn't the right person. So I think if you are looking for a one-to-one coach and things like that, it does need to be that right fit for you, the person that really understands exactly where you are and what you're doing and why you're doing it.
And whatever your why starts off as, I think there's a strong message that it can evolve. We've used that word several times. You can grow. And so in the book, I speak about that word why, what is your why, and then asking more questions to try and get that deeper understanding. But if that feels all too much to start with, there's levels. Like you're saying, you started off here and you've dug deeper, you found support, and you've answered those big burning, uncomfortable, I'm sure at times, questions and whys, and you've got to where you need to be and you feel fulfilled and with purpose. Now that's, like you're saying, it's not going to get there easily or quickly for everybody. You're going to need support, you're going to need time, but there will be a certain level of why that can get you started. And yours was financially supporting your kids. Mine was to hold and hold space for performers in the pandemic. Like, I wanted people not to feel alone. My businesses are all built on communities, and it started off as this holding space. Nobody needs to feel like alone or scared at any time. And the pandemic was a catalyst for that. But now, as the whys got deeper, like you say, and I've gone further with it, it's that support, it's that understanding. It's, I want people to get to where they can be quicker than me without the struggles and the questions and the worries and the imposter syndrome. Like, there's none of that. There's no need for any of that. And that's my why, to empower people to believe and to see quite clearly what is possible for them. Hence the podcast, bringing in different people with different journeys.
Yeah, definitely. I think we said earlier as well about your ideal client being a version of ourselves. My ideal client for my network, my mentoring, is I want to be that person that I wished I'd had back then. And I know I didn't have it because I was waiting for my coach to become a coach. So I know why I didn't have that person back then. And it's all worked out for the best. But I think if I had have had a person back then, I'd have got so much further, so much quicker. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
It's crazy and it's beautiful at the same time. And it's going to take people like you and I and copious amounts of others nowadays and age, which is amazing, to just keep relaying the possibilities, keep showing up, keep visible. You, I'm sure, like me, hit days of imposter syndrome. Like my listeners, they'll think it's not possible, they can't go on, they don't understand. And I personally do reflect on my why regularly, my core values, and make those decisions and push through for my community. So I just think it's a really, really strong and important topic. I know we didn't delve very deeply into your story and your circumstances, but I'd love people to go and find you, especially if anything, that any part of that sort of minimal conversation has opened up people's thoughts to needing help in a certain area. So are you able to share with us? And I'll pop it all in the links below, everybody. So just check out YouTube and the podcast, Apple Podcast, for Cheryl's social media handles, X, Y, and Z. But just give us a little of where to find you online, Cheryl.
Yeah, so my website, cherylsharp.co.uk, has quite a lot of my story on there if you like to read. Also, my Instagram is probably the best place you'll see me, at I am Cheryl Sharp. If anyone's interested in the business, it's pinkpigfinancials.co.uk. And again, there's the Insta links and everything on there from there as well.
Perfect. And I know, like I said at the beginning, some people, their why is financial and it is money. I know it's off topic, but have you got any kind of accountancy tips that you just think everyone needs to be doing this? Just because I think that will add some kind of extra value to the podcast, because I know that until people dig deep, money is the main reason they want to start a side hustle.
Yeah, of course. So for me, it's always keeping track of your incomes and outgoings, because when you know what's going on in your business, it helps you to plan and make decisions and go forward. So yeah, keep your records, ideally on software, because it just makes everybody's life so much easier. I know a lot of people think that they can't afford an accountant, but they are more affordable than you think. And I definitely recommend at least having a chat with one, because you just never know what you're doing is the right thing or not the right thing. So having a chat just to make sure you're on the right tracks, or if there's any other things you can do. And then just planning, what do you want to achieve? How are you going to get there? What kind of investment do you need in your business? And it may not be that you need investment as in money. It may be your time, or it could be people. But if you know what's going on in your business and you know where you want to go, it's so much easier to plan for that, make a forecast.
Brilliant. That's perfect. I would talk to you all day. I'm really, really grateful for your time. And I know that people will be intrigued and want to know more. So they can find you, like we said, on socials and across the World Wide Web. And in the meantime, Cheryl, just a huge thank you from me. If you get any PerformerPreneur reaching out, then send them my love. And yeah, guys, listening in, please do come back for more episodes of the Showbiz Side Hustle podcast, where you'll meet more fantastic friends and experts like Cheryl, along with some members, and then quite a lot of information just from me. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You have been listening to the Showbiz Side Hustle podcast, powered by PerformerPreneur. This episode was sponsored by Danny at DD Practical Leathercraft, who makes traditional handcrafted heritage leather products with a unique twist. Find her at www.DD Practical, as seen at BBC's, and make it at market. Practical leather products at practical prices. Okay, guys, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Thank you for joining me here on the Showbiz Side Hustle podcast. So until next time, please do take a little bit of action, that very first step, and make sure that you are doing something for you and your Showbiz Side Hustle this week to move you forward and get you heading quickly and swiftly and strategically towards success.